Hi, I'm Robert Scott, and I'm at the Wastewater Enterprise Collection System Division of San Francisco Public Utilities. And I'm with Brenda Donald. She's the Supervising Wastewater Control Inspector. And next to her on my right is Tim Paez, who's a Wastewater Control Inspector. And at the end there, we have Chris Albon, who's a Water Quality Technician 3. On my left, we have Hayden Kam, who's an engineer, and also Mitchel Borja, who's an engineer as well. They're going to tell us about their standard operating procedure on how to write standard operating procedures. Interesting. Brenda, what do you guys call this tool and why was it developed?
So we call this a standard operating procedure on how to write a standard operating procedure. Our manager likes to call it a SOP. We know what that is. And we developed...
Oh, SOP is for SOP.
SOP.
SOP, got it.
And we developed this as part of our strategic business plan 7 or 8 years ago to address, customer issues with the sewer, the way the sewer worked. Clogged sewers, clogged laterals, clogged catch basins. So we used it initially for mission critical sewer issues, and it worked so well that we've expanded out to all kinds of other things.
Okay.
And we developed it because we did have a number of SOPs going back. I mean, initially it was, learn on the job, go ask what's his face, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We did hire consultants to come in and help us, but the consultants and the managers, the engineers, and the field staff all use different language, and they didn't always work out so well.
Okay.
And sometimes the consultants would just take the work with them and go sell it to somebody else.
Okay.
So we came up with this system to develop it in-house with the people that actually do the work.
Okay.
And we get as many of them as we can to put their input in, so we don't do it the way Ralph does it or Ramona does it. We do it the way that everybody agrees is the best way.
Okay. So that helped it be written in the language that you guys speak.
Yeah.
Great. So how have you used this tool?
We've used this tool, actually we are using it to help us get ISO 14001 certified.
Oh, okay.
And we're also using it as a template for all sorts of different operations. As I said initially, it was catch basin cleaning, main sewer cleaning. These folks here have used it for the odor complaint response. They've also used it for flow monitoring, equipment service. Hayden over there has used it for claims investigations, which definitely need to be standardized. Just anything that needs to be standardized, really needs to be standardized, we use this tool. And you do have a hierarchy, like after the zombie apocalypse is over, we need to have the sewers working. And then later on, you'll work on claims investigations and flow monitoring. So that's kind of how we do it. You don't need to have an SOP on, how to order paper. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Okay. So Hayden, tell us about the way that you use this tool.
Okay. For my case, the challenge of writing the SOP for claims investigation is that no two claims are the same.
Okay.
It's just like no two, using engineering language, no two buildings are built the same. So what we do is that we can write an SOP for what we come across on the majority of the cases. So what we're most likely to see, say, 80 or 90% of the time. But then we still have to leave a little bit room for independent thinking.
Okay.
In case you come across something that has not been mentioned, like this is the first time you've seen this instance.
Okay.
And the SOP would be useful for another staff to go over, like if I'm not available to investigate a claim, which I should elaborate. When I say claims, these are claims that the public files if they have damage in the property from a sewage backup or storms, and then they file it to the city attorney's office, but then they need our help or input to tell them whether we feel this claim is valid or not. So we go out there and look for certain things, and then we make the recommendation so that they can they can proceed. And also in case there's a lawsuit in the future, then this information is used for our defense.
Okay, so the tool helps you cross all the T's and dot the I's?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else care to talk about how you've used the tool?
I mean, I think the biggest thing that we got out of it as a group was the team building exercise.
Okay,
Because basically, you know, I've been doing it this way. We might send out another crew, they might be doing it this way, and then we get to collaborate and look at different methods in the field. What's actually the proper way to do it? What can we come to consensus on? And what can we provide wiggle room? Because there's different equipment, different sites, different things like that. So I think it really brought our team together to be able to kind of vet ourselves and our own actions and make sure we're all on the same page and, you know, articulate that.
that's interesting, that an SOP would help you build your team.
Yeah, and with some of the people that have been with the organization longer,
Yeah,
Brenda was mentioning like some of the sewer cleaning, this guy's been doing it this way, he's been doing it for 10 years. So at some point, he's gonna retire, and we wanna have the institutional memory of being able to carry that over. So we don't lose that. So that's another really big critical thing with us. And, you know, most of us, we're not retiring anytime soon. And so, but we wanna make sure we're on the same page. And to also, you know, have that communication for, like I said, for wiggle room and for improvement.
great, great. Tim?
Yeah, in some of my other roles outside of the team here that helped develop one of these early SOPs, I'm also a field supervisor at the monitoring section, and in conjunction with our manager there, with some of the other tasks that we perform, other environmental monitoring, this SOP process has really helped us to just kind of conduct a review of some of the methods that that are constantly updated by our regulatory authorities outside of our agency. So it's kind of a good, has been a really good tool internally for like our own QA check, because our work is legally defensible, actionable in some cases. So the process of internal review of the procedures to make sure that they're in compliance with the latest standards, the latest method, has been really helpful. But then also, as we've had a lot of staff shifts and changes over the course of the last few years, it's really helped in some of these mission critical tasks that are paramount to have a standard kind of training foundation for new staff, particularly in the context of ISO 14001 and a lot greater complexity of a lot more projects. Having staff with a foundational kind of baseline training that's on the job necessarily 100% for some of the work we do isn't. It's just so complex. So this has been really a great tool for us to have a reference and a baseline by which to train and then evaluate performance.
Okay. Help me understand a little bit. You're training certain staff who will be assigned to write an SOP, how they should write an SOP. Is that correct? All right. So help me. Who is it that would write the SOP? Who is it that you would train on writing SOPs that are assigned with writing SOPs?
Typically, we start with our subject matter experts, our experienced technicians, our lead technicians, supervisors, and there's typically a point person assigned to the task. I actually think probably Mitchell probably played that role most, I think, kind of importantly with the early development of probably our most complex SOP that I've participated with so far.
Okay.
So I might feel he has that question.
Mitchell.
Yeah. So basically, we wanted to standardize our day-to-day operations. So with our topside service standard operating procedure, that helped us in a big way.
Okay.
In order to deploy crews out there, they need to have a checklist, safety tips, safety briefings, job sites, priorities. So this tool allowed us to have a unified front and having a collaboration, and also just determining what we need to do out there in the field, whether it's downloading data or changing the batteries on the field. So that way we're all on the same page.
Okay.
We don't, especially if we bring in consultants.
Yeah.
We give them the checklist, we give them the SOP, they read it before they come to the field. I think that brings all the health and safety aspect of it covered, and also our goal, which is to complete the site, get the work done, and get home safe.
Okay,
So-
all right, sounds great, sounds great. So tell me what, you guys have mentioned some benefits you gained from using the tool. Can you think of any other benefits that you've gained from using this tool?
Well, these folks mentioned it. You do, as you go along, work out the bugs. So
Okay.
almost,
Right.
the process of making the SOP is almost as important, if not more important, than actually having the document to show that you've done it.
Okay,
Because it really does, I mean, everybody's had a workplace where you go, what the heck do they do all day?
Yeah.
And this is the tool that shows you what everybody does.
Okay.
And for me, as writing the SOP on how to write an SOP, I've been lucky enough to learn what all those people are doing.
uh-huh,
And
Oh.
it's been really invaluable for me.
yeah,
And, I mean, if these folks want to know what somebody else is doing, they can look at their SOPs.
right. That's interesting that you say that, the fact that you have them now, you can come in from, the outside and get a better understanding, a holistic understanding of what's going on in the workflow and the work life of everybody.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a great benefit. Good stuff. Anything else anyone else want to add in terms of benefits that you can think of? Go ahead, Tim.
I think, just the process again, I think was really crucial, but within that process, I think one of the tools that kind of helps, it's also kind of like an extractable, kind of component of the SOP, similar to the checklist Brenda mentioned, but the flowchart is a pretty important, I think, tool just to kind of like, for a quick overview to help,
Okay.
like an overview of the particular process that the SOP tackles, and
Mhm.
particularly in my work taking this whole process into some of our regulatory and very like strict, work that has like a strict method that is constantly updated. Having these kind of like compartmentalized components of each part of the SOP, it makes it easy to review, it makes it easy to check, update, and use, and just break down, and then I think almost kind of like taking all that holistically, be able to communicate any issues that you have, or problems, or changes that you want to initiate in your procedure and your process to management. It kind of helps
Okay.
focus
Okay.
what the task is, how it's done, and breaks down where you can identify needs, requirements, other things. So
Okay.
in a way, it's a communication tool that
Okay.
maybe on the front doesn't seem that way, but through the process of it, it becomes, for someone, especially I think maybe the point of contact or a supervisor that's responsible for that procedure, it can become a powerful tool to look at your process and kind of like this meta
Yeah.
view.
Yeah. When you talk about workflow, communication is so important. Brenda, you mentioned earlier that sometimes the language wasn't quite right, so communication is important. That's great. Any suggestions that you'll have for anyone who wants to create an SOP?
Yep.
On how to write SOPs?
Oh, on how to write an SOP? Well, this is, like I said, this is an ISO 14001 template. And anyone that's familiar with it knows that if you go straight to Section 8, the procedure, that's the best place to start. Because
Okay.
health and safety, all that other stuff, legal stuff, you can fill that in later.
Okay.
I would get right to the first step, the first task, and then, the responsibility, the health and safety stuff, that'll all follow.
Okay.
You can't start with health and safety.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, it needs to be part of everything, and you bring your health and safety people in
Yeah.
as to review as part of the team.
Start with
But-
the task.
Yeah, start with the task.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely, that would be, and also, I can't stress this enough, we have our team here, and we talked about what a good team building exercise this was.
Oh.
And we all got together, everybody that worked on SOPs, and got a big award. They gave us a reception
Oh.
at the green room over at the War Memorial, and
Great.
we had the commissioners there, so it worked out. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a
Great.
better outcome.
Great. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think that starting with that Section 8 was key, and to remember that it's a living document, it's your document.
Uh-huh.
In the past, like Brenda had mentioned in the intro, this is something that managers said, oh, we're being regulated, let's hire a consultant, let's get them to, what do you guys do? It's like, well, you know what we did, you used to do it 5 years ago. A lot of our managers come from the field, they
Right.
understand the work that we're doing.
Right.
But being able to express that to outside agencies and whatnot, you know, having management behind you to say, hey, you guys do the work, you're competent individuals. Use this format, and then to be able to look at this format, and like you said, don't start at the beginning, start at section 8, and really take ownership of that.
Okay.
And not be scared by it, because if you just grab this thing off the shelf and look at it, you might be like, oh, this is really boring. This is, and to actually understand this is something that describes our work.
Okay.
And besides the written part, we also have, like, from this, we were able to create some training stuff that we can hand out to people that's a little bit more human, maybe with some video clips. You know, with technology nowadays, it's easier and more presentable to be able to just take a camera and show what we do in the field. So
So you turned the SOP into video SOP.
well, that's what it is. You know,
Yeah.
what is this document really about? It's about describing the work that you do every day. So, but also being able to express that to multiple audiences. And, you know, we had to go through and say, okay, well, we go out in the field, before we open up a manhole, we use a sniffer. Well, what's a sniffer?
Oh, yeah.
A sniffer is a forward gas detector, detects these
yeah.
things. And, you know, have that language in there, so, you know, make sure everybody, like I said, is on the same page. And, you know, you educate yourself in the
Yeah.
process in case you forgot what the sniffer actually
Yeah.
is called. We all know what it does.
Right,
But,
right.
you know, and be able to define those things and go through. And, you know, as we were writing that, there's a lot of things in there that we found that we're like, oh, we'll throw that in the definition page. Oh, that's great. Oh, that actually isn't what the acronym stands for. Or it is, you know, and just to have that on the same page. You know?
Okay. Good. Great. Well, there you have it. This is the SOP on how to write SOP. SOP. They don't like that, but I'll say it anyway. And again, I'm at the Wastewater Enterprise Collection System Division of San Francisco Public Utilities. And I'm with this wonderful team here. And they've created this tool, and I think it's something you'd like to check out.